Alright, I'm making a video about John Wesley Hardin. I'm a fan of the Old West, the Wild West. Not so much from like a history standpoint. I guess it's a history standpoint, but for different reasons than maybe a lot of people. I'm a gun nut. You guys all know that. And I love old school cowboy guns. I'm kind of intrigued with the Wild West and all that. So as a lot of people on here, I'm just waking up. It takes me a good minute or two to get talking before the words start flowing properly. It's early in the morning. But you'll hear guys like, in documentaries, and they're talking about Billy the Kid and Wild Bill Hickok, and they almost kind of glamorize these people. And when they get to John Wesley Hardin, they're just kind of like, ugh. They're not, he doesn't get the credit he deserves for being, for being just a badass dude. You shouldn't give anybody, let's not get it twisted, you shouldn't give anybody credit for killing and murdering people, but we are talking about the Wild West here. Okay, we're talking about the Wild West. And what I'm saying is you get all these different guys. I mean, people like glorify bank robbers and stuff. I mean, you think Jesse James was a good person? I mean, but then when you get to John Wesley Hardin, people, they look at him, I think he's looked at more as like a murderer and almost like a serial killer type. And I don't look at John Wesley Hardin like that. Now, again, I'm not making this to glamorize the guy, but I kind of want to just give a different perspective. It's like, if I see something, a situation, I feel like, man, I have a different perspective on it. So why not make a video about it? John Wesley Hardin, this guy killed reportedly over 40 men. He was in his early 20s, and this is back in the cap and ball revolver days. And if you study John Wesley Hardin, he is much different than all these other quote-unquote gunslingers. I mean, there was a lot of gunslingers back in the day. When I mean gunslingers, I mean guys that might get in a gunfight or might kill somebody. They might shoot somebody. Maybe they'll rob one person. But you don't even know who these people are, because they're killing people. Days back in the Wild West, it was short-lived. Chances are if you go kill somebody, someone finds out that guy just killed, someone's going to come and kill you. If you shoot somebody and their brother finds out about it, their brother is going to come and find you and kill you. And actually that happened in my family. Back to my great-grandfather. He got shot when he was 18 years old, and his best friend went and killed the guy that killed him. It's actually a pretty good story, but I won't get off topic. But that's a lot of how things went. So, if you have somebody like, John Wesley Hardin, this guy killed, I mean, you have to think about this. This guy killed over 40 people in a brief period of time. You have to say, man, what is this guy doing different? I mean, that's a bad mo. I mean, really. You could take John Wesley Hardin, put him into modern times. Say he's sitting in the diner somewhere, and somebody comes in. I mean, he wouldn't have any problem taking people out with his cap and ball revolvers. I mean, he was different. He not only did he look different, he did things different. He was reported to concealed carry. I think John Wesley Hardin was a really smart guy, and he would do things different. If you can look up a picture of him, you'll see him. He doesn't look like a gunslinger. He doesn't look all pimped out. He looks like a normal person. He doesn't look, he kind of looks like a killer, but that's back in the day. Nobody smiled in pictures. They just, you know what I mean? And guys, a long time ago, there really wasn't much to smile about. You know, life was rough back then. You didn't live long. People would get sick, illness. People have it really good these days. They really do. It was rough. It was a rough life back then. It really was. And you know, you look at John Wesley Hardin. Like I said, he doesn't look the part. But I think that was intentional. I think he knew to do that because people would be sleeping on him. You know, he'd get an altercation. You can remember, they didn't have pictures. People didn't know, you know, what these people looked like. People used to draw, you know, stories almost like comic books of people, but people didn't know exactly what these people looked like. And here's John Wesley Hardin, you know, coming to town, concealed carrying. People think he's not even carrying a gun. He doesn't look like a gunslinger. And you cross him and he would kill, and a lot of the stories look like he did kill people in cold blood, but I kind of suspect that was probably maybe part of it, but I think it was probably more along the lines of survival. When you are somebody like John Wesley Hardin, and I think if he even got the notion that somebody was going to be a threat to him, or maybe come and kill him, I think he would just kill him. You know, I think he was a smart guy. I mean, you got to remember, this is the Wild West. I mean, it's like he beat everybody to it. You know, if he ran into somebody, had an altercation with somebody, and he thought, well, maybe this is somebody that might come and somebody that doesn't like me. This is somebody that might want to come and shoot me. He would just go shoot him first, even if it wasn't cold blood. And there's a lot of stories. I mean, some of it, you know, with history, you don't even know how much of it is even true or what isn't true. But with this guy, when you kill that many people, there's definitely a lot of truth to it. But I think mostly, guys, I don't think John Wesley Hardin was any more of a bad person than a lot of people back in the day. I think the difference is he just kept coming out on top. Like you said, there was other people they'll go kill somebody, and you know, next thing, you know, maybe they get in a knife fight in a bar and then they're dead, you know. So you don't know who they were. But those people, had they not died, they would have continued doing the same type of thing. You know, John Wesley Hardin was just a bad dude. And I think he was smart. I think he was really intelligent. I think he was one step above IQ level of where everybody else was. You know, there's reports of him had a vest specially made. Now, nobody knows if this is true, but they said he had a vest specially made so he could conceal carry his guns. And people didn't know who he was. And actually, there's even a story. There's a lot of cool stories. So this isn't, you know, you got to go read about him on your own. But he actually came into town. He was a wanted man, and he came face to face with Wild Bill Hickok, who was like the sheriff or whatever at the time. And Wild Bill Hickok didn't even try and arrest him. I don't know if they shook hands. I forget how the story goes, but he knew who he was. Maybe he didn't know who he was when he seen him, but then he found out. It was something like that. But he had came face to face with Wild Bill Hickok, and Wild Bill Hickok, you know, Wild Bill Hickok's got a pretty bad reputation. You know what I mean? You don't want to mess with that guy. And he did not try and arrest John Wesley Hardin. You know, he was a bad dude, man. You guys got to go read the story. Eventually he got shot, but it was later in his life after he had gone to prison, and he actually was a lawyer. It's really bizarre. I mean, it's strange times back then. It was people looked at things and did things a lot different. But John Wesley Hardin, he's somebody who, like I said, who I always thought was really, really cool. To me, he's like the pinnacle of the baddest guy, like in the Wild West of all these guys. And I just kind of wanted to give him props. We're not officially giving somebody that's a murderer, that's a gunslinger, props. But if you're going to study these type of people and why is some guys are made out to be like heroes and John Wesley Hardin isn't? I think, look, man, in the Wild West, think for him, it was more about survival. I really do. And was he trigger happy? Yeah, probably was. But I do think he was trigger happy. But the thing is, see, there's where we get back to intelligence. He was smart, man. I think he was just taking guys. He was just killing. It's not like he was just going to walk up to somebody, going to town, and somebody is minding their own business, and they will go up and kill him. I mean, come on. He wasn't. Would be a cold-blooded killer, a psychopath. And I don't think John Wesley Hardin was crazy. I don't think he was officially a cold-blooded killer. Basically, anyone that got in his way. If you had an altercation with John Wesley Hardin, then that was a bad day for you. He was a bad man. He really was. And as far as like people calling him a cold-blooded killer, to me, somebody that's a cold-blooded killer like that, like a murderer, would be like somebody who's like crazy, maybe not all there. Well, when he went to prison, he studied law, and he came out. Passed his, like, I don't know if it was called a bar exam or whatever it was. He had studied law and was an attorney. So if he was crazy, and he said he was reformed from his gunslinger days. But guys, I think it was really just more of, that was that time. That's the Wild West. It was kill or be killed, and John Wesley Hardin was the baddest Wild West gunslinger. He just kept coming out on top. It's not his fault he didn't lose. People kept coming in him, kept having altercations. You go places, you have altercations with people all the time. And it's not like you're going to call the police. You know what I mean? He was a bad dude. Smart guy. He really was. The proof of his intelligence, too, again, him studying law, becoming a lawyer, when he went to prison and all that. So anyway, John Wesley Hardin, I think he's one of those guys that really gets, I don't know if it's like one person says something like in society or in like history, and then everybody just follows that train of thought. Read about people and use some common sense. You don't just read like, there's one where he got into words with a guy in an amusement park or like a carnival or something like that, some type of town get together, and he went back. John Wesley Hardin went back, and they said he just shot him in cold blood. Well, maybe the guy said something that, I'll kill you, or threatened him, and he didn't just go shoot him for no reason. I mean, it was it necessary to do that? Well, the guy lived a long time. I mean, he went, like I said, killed over 40 people without getting killed himself. That's bizarre. Like I said, man, back then, you kill somebody, somebody's coming for you. And think about how many people were coming for John Wesley Hardin if they could find the guy. And he just blended in everywhere. I don't know how he got away with all that. Like you said, he was just feared, man. Nobody want to try and arrest him. But they didn't know who he was. They just looked like a normal guy. He wasn't a normal guy. He was the baddest of them all. Anyway, John Wesley Hardin. I'll see you guys later.